So I got this scarf at Sam Moon. It's so pretty. So what I would like to do, because it's such a big scarf, it's just quite large, I would like to transform it into a blouse. But I want my blouse to have the lace part as the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it like in half to where you have just beyond the little blingy part there. Then I'll bring that half over and put it over here, so you'll get to see what I'm doing. But I'm going to use this blouse over here as a pattern because I like the way it fits on me. So come along with me on my journey as I transform this scarf into a blouse. I spread the scarf over the blouse, matching up the bottom of the scarf with the bottom of the blouse, and then I notice where the waistline is, and I'm going to make a little cut right there about an inch above the waistline, leaving room for a good seam up there. Then what I want to do is fold that scarf in half, matching up the corners so I get a clean straight cut across the top. I cut both ends of the scarf that way. Then I divide the pattern the way I want to, cutting away the lace part from the darker part on both ends of the scarf. So all that I have left is the middle of the scarf, which you see there has a real pretty edging that I'm going to use on the top. And I'm going to put it down by the waistline and give it about an inch overlap there for the seam, and then I'll be cutting along that armhole there. So I'll match it up and start cutting, giving an inch extra for seams around the armhole, across the top shoulder there, around the side and the waistline. Then I'm going to lay the other part out and flip that part over on top of that so that I can cut it the exact same shape and same size. So I'll have the right sides facing together and just cut them out together. Each side. And then it's time to do the back. I put the piece on the back there. This is the middle of the scarf that's left from after cutting off the two ends. I put it right down by the waistline. I cut off around the side as well as the neckline, making sure now to fold it in half so that you can cut the other side the exact same shape and size. I make sure to leave extra for the seams so that you have plenty of room to sew without making the blouse too small. So that's the back part. Then you take those front pieces that you cut and you put the nice sides together so that you can start sewing the seams together. You'll want to sew on the sides and then up there on the shoulder. So put those pretty sides together, line them up straight perfectly, and you'll want to sew your seams about a half an inch for the seam across the shoulder there and across the sides. Here's where I've sewn it together on the shoulders and on the sides, and then I did a little loop stitch around those seams so it wouldn't fray. Now, I did buy this nice satiny stretchy fabric from Walmart that I'm going to use as like a little band in the middle of the garment. So you can see I've cut it about 3 or 4 inches wide, and I'm going to have that attached to the bottom of the top and then attach the skirt to the bottom of the band. So this is what it looks like after I've already sewn it together. I did have a nice lacy material that actually matched the scarf quite well, so I used that as some sleeves. I measured the armhole and a little bit below the armhole to cut the perfect shape for the sleeve armhole, and then that's what it looks like after I fold it together. Then I'm going to put a pretty little kind of a full tip to the sleeve, and my cat is helping me here. So I've sewed the sleeve arm part together, and now I'm going to match that little part there with another piece in the middle of the sleeve. So the top of the sleeve will be lace, and then you'll have that little satin piece, and then you'll have a nice little bottom of the sleeve on the bottom of the satin piece. And Kitty will help me. So we'll get those sewn together. All right, now the sleeves are put together and they're on, but look at the inside there. I want to cover up that inside part with this other piece of satin that I sewed together. So we're going to place that inside so that when you open up the blouse cardigan, that you won't see those stitches, and the inside of that material will be a nice facing there. All right, so now I've got that sewed in there. And yes, I'm sewing with my sewing machine because it's a good machine. So I have this little piece left over. I have two of them actually that I've sewn into a triangle to put on the sleeve as decoration. And I'm going to line it up right there with that seam on the shoulder so that the point of the triangle is pointing towards that seam. Now this is stretchy, little loop that I'm going to use for a button to have a button closure to my little cardigan. And there's the buttons. I'm going to cover that button though because it's a plastic button. I'm going to cover it with a piece of that sparkly material from the scarf so that it matches perfectly. So I'll be placing that button right there, and then this is how I do the covering for the button. I cut it in a circle, and then I take my needle and go around the edge of the circle just like that and pull it together and gather it and have the button inside and just pull it tight around the button like a little button cover. So I'll do that with my needle and thread by hand, and see the sparkly material there. That'll be nice. Just pull it tight. And then after you get it on the button, see there it is, you'll want to make sure to put loops around it so it doesn't fray and get it all tight. Then you stitch it to the garment. Put your little button on there, stitching it through a couple layers of material, and then you stitch on your little loop on the other side and you stitch it nice and tight. And then also I covered up the little tips of that loop with a square of material that was left over. Here's the finished product. Yes, you'll notice in the back that panel of lace in the middle, that and the lace of the sleeves were the extra material that I had, as well as the satin around the middle and the middle of the sleeves. The rest of all of that is that scarf that I started out with. The little panels there, the backing, the front, those are all those pieces of scarf, and they were all beautiful. Even those little pieces on the sleeve there came from the scarf. It was really pretty, and we used every piece of it. There's how it's open. You can see the nice sash in the middle. Inside looks good, outside looks good. The easy button closure, and there you have it. Detail on the sleeve. So pretty. So if you have a large scarf in your closet that you really don't ever wear because it's too big, consider turning it into a beautiful cardigan that you can wear over some leggings. Get creative and mix it with other materials and have fun. I always ask God for creative ideas, and He never disappoints me.